How's everyone doing? Give just a little bit more time. I need to make sure to do the intro just to give people time to filter in. I think that's good for the news. I should start that ahead of time. You know, I should do it. I didn't do it, but I should. And then I should also start on time. I know. Oh, how's everyone's week gone so far? Are we ready for tomorrow? Are we ready for tomorrow? I want to say that I'm not fully ready for tomorrow. I'm trying to be as prepared as I can be without doing it ahead of time. So I'm not doing it ahead of time, but I'm trying to be as prepared. I think tomorrow's going to be at least a 2-part series, possibly a 3-part series. Because there's going to be some things. I've tried to prepare some data. So I made I've tried to prepare some data for training that they can't have possibly known. But then I've also curated some Hugging Face models that, Hugging Face data sets that we're also going to try to train on. Yeah, so should be good. Should be good. How are you doing, Sergeant Pepper? Yeah, tomorrow we're gonna look over the data and we're gonna look at like how we need to format the data to train an AI. I have a lot more experience ragging an AI, so I'm gonna actually cover like a really quick what's the difference between training and ragging an AI? Like why might you want to do one versus the other? So yeah. Maybe I should do like an actual, I'm just planning on talking about it as we're doing some of the stuff, but maybe I should actually plan a little like 15 minutes ragging versus training. Because I think there's actually like two distinct reasons. I think a lot of people will favor ragging over training. Maybe I need to do that. I'm gonna try see if I can't prepare that tonight. Just like a little 15-minute synopsis on rag versus train, because they do a lot of the same stuff, but there's slight nuances. Yeah, there's slight nuances. All right, let's jump into it. Thanks everybody for joining. Super happy to have you here. As everyone knows, this is the lunch break news. We do news over lunch. Do it every Friday. I do it most every Friday, although I will be missing a Friday coming up on the future. I have some work travel, so I will talk more about that next Friday, but it will be the one in 2 Fridays from now. So I think that's April 4th, April 3rd or 4th. I'll be missing that news as well as that Saturday stream. So just as a FYI, be prepared for that. let's jump into this. We got some big security concerns. I tried to cover security for developers here, so trying to keep you guys up to date as well as educated on the latest and greatest. No security expert here, but if you didn't see this and you use GitHub Actions, you might. Now, we all know that our supply chain is a thing. After the SolarWinds incidents, everybody is looking at supply chain attacks. Everybody's been talking about it. But have you ever had one hit close to home? Have you had your supply chain hacked? Well, man. I don't know where. Okay. Anyways, do you know what salsa is? That's what I was going to ask. Do you know what salsa is? But then words just completely. If you don't know what salsa is something that I'm going to try to get somebody on the channel to actually give us a deep dive on. But it's safeguarding artifact integrity across software supply chains. It's an open source standard, but it's actually pretty cool. And I think I'd like to help raise awareness of this and how you can achieve salsa build level 3. We want tres, amigos. It's what you dip Doritos in, please. It's what you dip crisps in. I know my English. It's what you put crisps in. Your SolarWinds install is super secure. Okay, well, this one hits a little bit closer to home. GitHub Actions supply chain compromise, TJ Actions changed file action. Now, this is a pretty widely used action that just checks if there was changed files between commits, and a lot of people have used it. And there was actually a malicious commit made to this repository that actually made it in there. Now, I want to bring this up because there's actually some really cool stuff that you should be doing, and if you're not doing, this could save you from a breach like this. Now, what I would have to say is that whenever you use a GitHub action, you should use the SHA. You should use the SHA. And the reason you should use the SHA is for a lot of reasons. One, you want your GitHub actions to be the same each time they run. You don't want things to accidentally or just pop up and break. But it also saves you from this, because if you have used the SHA and you're not just following @main, I can't tell you how many times I've seen GitHub actions that use @main for external projects like TJ actions, changed files actions. And if you do that and there is a compromising commit, you could have actions run on it without even knowing it. So, first things first, if you guys are here and use GitHub Actions, go right now and check if you use TJ Actions. If you need help writing a query to see what actions you use, I can help you write a query because I just recently wrote a query. I can help you write a query if you guys need that. I should have provided that. Just hit me up in Discord. I can help you write the query that will pull out what files have changed. It's not too bad. Or not what files changed, but what actions you're leveraging. Also, GitHub. If somebody working from GitHub, if you have an enterprise GitHub account, you should be able to see every action used. There should be a dashboard that lists all actions used. That would be great. Please get on that functionality. Don't make me hit your API. Okay, so go check if you're using TJ Actions, files changed. It has been compromised. It has been fixed, but it was stealing secrets. The compromised commit was stealing secrets from your Git. So if you have been using it and you use the compromise, or if you used a ref that was a rolling ref, not a SHA, and you don't know if you used a compromised version, you need to go roll your secrets. You need to look for secrets, but it was stealing GitHub Action secrets. So any secrets this repository had access to, you need to go roll. Go get on it. Let's move on. If you didn't know by now, VS Code extensions as well as themes can be compromised. Be careful with what you install. On your system. Just do it. Be careful. Be careful. That being said, there was some notable news in the security that Google, and we're going to cover this a little bit later, is finally procuring their security target. They're finally buying for an astounding price. For an astounding price. They're finally getting their teeth into their security stuff. And maybe in correlation, I don't know if it was in correlation. I'm going to say in correlation because I can't believe that these companies just do stuff on accident. OSV Scanner was recently updated with a pretty big release, which made it a lot better. So you get the version 2.0. It packaged some more tools in there. So if you were using it, 2.0 has been released. And yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Moving on, critical Fortinet vulnerability draws fresh attention. I don't know. I don't know what it is about Fortinet, but like as a security company, they have a lot of CVEs. But part of me says they have a lot of CVEs because of what they do, right? They are probably one of the most scrutinized network security vendors. So that's kind of like, let's say you were an alligator farmer and you had a lot of alligator related injuries. And, you could look at it and be like, well, the standard human doesn't get alligator-related injuries. How are you so elevated? But it's because of what you do, right? I don't know. I don't know for a fact, but it happens a lot. It happens a lot. All right. Now, they since last Fortinet breach 0 again. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I was gonna go with this, other than like, this just seems to happen. Guys, adopt Rust. Please go adopt Rust. Get yourself some. go rewrite your stack. I don't know. It seems rough. It seems rough. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Well, how often do you know of a good competitor? Like, tell me somebody that does what they do at the scale that they do, and I will go investigate that. Honestly, I don't know of a vendor that's quite like them. No, not Norton. Rust can't fix idiocy. Good point, machine. Is that why it's so hard for me to write Rust? No, I meant a vendor that builds the same stuff that they build, right? That makes the same stuff. You could possibly say Cisco. Cisco has quite a few CVEs though, so I'm not sure that would be true. And Cisco isn't quite the same. Isn't quite the same. Cisco is less specialized, so Cisco is larger for sure, and I'm mostly talking about the Cisco hardware. because Fortinet this is all about their hardware. I mean, obviously it's the software running on the hardware, blah 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 blah, whatever. Don't know, don't care. But I'm specifically talking. Cisco has a lot of other stuff. Cisco's spread is wide, but Fortinet also is very in the hardware sector, is very much around the firewalls and whatnot. Whereas Cisco, even in the hardware, has a larger section. But Fortinet is more special and is even used in the systems you leverage Cisco in, right? Because Cisco doesn't have the same security appliances, is what I would argue. Cisco sales rep would argue differently, but I'm sure that Cisco believes that they could run AWS. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Chaos in Cloudflare Lisbon's office. Do you know what this brought me to? This brought me to something that we talked about 2 years ago, and I'm sad that I haven't done it. I'm sad that we haven't done it. I have wanted to do chaos as a service and basically recreate just ways to do random number generators. That has been a thing that I've wanted to do that I thought would be fun. And I've never had the time, but we're going to make the time. I saw this and it made me sad. We had so many ideas of things that we could do to make randomness and provide it as a service in the Null cloud. And we never did it. And for that, I'm sorry, because this would be some of the fun stuff that we should be doing, where we learn and expand. And maybe our random as a service isn't as engineered as their random as a service. Maybe it's not as good, but it would still be fun and it's still a really good learning experience. So I saw this, and we're going to do more smaller projects that are fun and learning. That's what I can tell you, because I saw this and I was like, I'm sad that we haven't done this. I'm sad we haven't done this. I'm sad that there's not an internet endpoint that you can't hit that doesn't give you a random number generated by some stupid lava lamp. I'm sorry. And anyways, it's pretty cool. Go read this. Go read this. But it's an updated take on their lava lamps. So these just go back and forth, and they have a whole wavy reflective background, so that basically they get a random number generator based off of wave things. It's just like their lava lamps. Just to give a little chaos, it took them almost 2 years to do this, which I was like, wow. I wanted to do it in 2 weekends, but it's cool. So go ahead, give it a check. Pretty cool on the security. And yeah. Dude, wouldn't that be fun to like do lava RS? Yeah, like absolutely. That would be fun. No, it's waves it's basically a wave. It's just a wave lava lamp. I actually thought of one of the ways. So for our random as a service or our chaos as a service, I thought we could do like a very simple and then expand on it. And the very simple was like lava lamp. We get a single lava lamp, a little Raspberry Pi that looks at it, that reports to one of the computers in the rack. I thought that would be really simple and fun. And then I thought that, what would be even better than that was like we could expand on it over time and add different ones. And one of the ones that I thought of is, what if we put a camera on a bird feeder? Now, I thought this would be fun, except that there is a flaw to this, is if there's no birds actively eating, like it's nighttime or winter. There's some flaws to that one. But I thought we could have some fun with it and just play around with something like that. That we could try to do something. The waves on a beach, I'm not near a beach, so we can't do that one, but we can come up with ones as a community and try to do them and see how it is. And then what I thought is basically when you hit the chaos as a service endpoint, it just picks one of those, which adds another layer of randomness. Like, did you get the bird feeder or did you get the lava lamp? Who knows which one you got? That's part of the chaos. Actually, Scott B, do you want to know what one of my ideas was? Make a Twitter account and follow prolific tweeters and just have it hash just have it hash all of the tweets in its feed. So basically when you hit it, it goes and gets the last tweet in the feed and hashes it. And then it burns that one, so it never uses that one again. And you don't know which one that is. So just like follow everybody you can. Be the most prolific Twitter follower. It's not perfect because you could actually, try to guess which one it was going to hash. Like there's some iffiness there, but I thought it would be fun. Just as like a fun experiment. I mean, insert blue sky Twitter. I don't care. Just a place where you can follow a bunch of people that are doing similar things. I don't care which one it is, but it's basically randomness based off of humans. I wonder if we could do it with like magnets. I don't know. Anyways, let's move on. We can talk more about this tomorrow. Tomorrow is day 1 of probably 3 Saturdays, maybe just 2. We're going to try to train. I'm preparing some information tomorrow. We're going to do like a 15 minutes on RAG versus training, why you might pick one or the other. I'm actually going to prepare some, not slides, but some Excel draws and stuff to go over the differences and why you might want to do one or the other. And then we're going to see, we're going to start training. Some of it's going to be getting stuff into the right format. We're going to have to work on that. And that's going to be maybe not as much fun, but it's going to be a learning experience. I was actually going to get all the data into the right format for you all ahead of time. And then I was like, no, that's part of the learning experience. Let's get it into the right format. And each model actually requires its own format, which is annoying and painful. So whatever. Anyways, let's move on with the news. The last thing in security was that last year we talked about how the $23 billion buyout of Wiz was rejected from Google. And they were like, no, we're going to go IPO and we're going to, for our customers, we're going to stay independent. It turns out it wasn't for their customers or for an IPO, that Google just didn't write the right number on the check. 23 billion was not the right number. 20 or 32 billion. They suffered a little dyslexia, was all Google had. They suffered just a little bit from dyslexia. They flipped some numbers. It was an honest mistake. Google solved that. They fixed that honest mistake and bought Wiz for $32 billion, about $9 billion more going to the pockets of somebody. It's an all cash acquisition. I will follow up if there's something more to announce. I did talk about them releasing the 2.0 of the OSV scanner. Like I said, I don't know if that's in correlation to this buyout. I honestly don't know, but I will pull in anything and keep you all updated if I find something that I think is correlated. It's not that they can't do anything. I think people get this wrong. I used to believe this as well. I used to point and be like, hey, Google didn't even create Gmail. Gmail was because they bought Post Any. Post Any was actually the spam filter of the time that made Google or Gmail so awesome at the time. They bought Post Any, and really Gmail itself was an artifact of acquisitions. And so like, if you look at it and say like Google's innovative and whatnot, not really. I would make this argument for a very long time, but I would make this argument for a lot of things. And it's not that they can't innovate, but the risk of innovating is dangerous. So what companies like to do, what companies find as less risky is this. Let me draw it out for you. Companies like to, there are at any point in time, if this is time, there are hundreds of companies that are started, and a lot fail here, and a lot never become really big, but there's some that hit this inflection point. And what is less risky for a company to do is try to buy companies at this inflection point. Now, sometimes these companies hit this and they kind of peter out. There's still risk involved here. But some, like, let's talk about the Android project, do very well. Let's talk about Gmail, do very, very well. And the fact, let's talk about YouTube. Let's talk about, I don't care. They're not innovative, but that's because they can actually reduce their risk. Doing this is very expensive. They could have started 1 million things back here that all failed. Because the fact is, a lot of things fail at this step here before they actually get to this inflection point. And so it's not that they can't innovate, but these large companies aren't incentivized to innovate. They can actually just wait until the market actually filters out all of the cruft, and they can play the odds better, right? How much randomness can you get from one syllable words? Every innovation they started themselves has ended up killed by Google. That's also true. That's also true. Their innovations have earned them notoriousness. Okay, so there was this website going around. Last thing in security, there was this website, DogQuest website, doxing Tesla owners nationwide, revealing their names and address. Now, I didn't get the chance. It's been removed. It's been removed from the internet. I couldn't find it, and I found this, that it was actually shut down. It was actually shut down because I was going to validate this for you all, but I couldn't validate it because it got shut down before I actually had the time to go and check. I should have jumped on it sooner, knowing that, knowing something like that could happen. I don't know if it was accurate or not. Nobody actually confirmed. That was the strangest thing. I can't find one article. I found tons of articles covering it, but not one article actually confirmed. Like, were they shy to say that they were a Tesla owner, that they could confirm whether it was accurate or not? Like, did nobody check? I don't know. I tried to validate it for y'all. I couldn't. Also, if you're about doxing, if you're going to dox some people about a car they purchased 5 years ago, maybe you're part of the problem. Just throwing that out there. Possibly you're part of the problem. My gosh, the fact that it existed doesn't surprise me, but all right, let's talk some open source. We had I only had two notable things that happened in the last week that I saw. I'm excited about one. I'm actually excited about both. I'm excited about both. Actually, Russell brought one of them to my attention, so we're going to talk about that one second. The first thing in open source is GIMP 3.0 released. This has been the first major release since 2.10, and that was like 7 years ago. I have 3.0 because I'm on Arch Linux, the greatest Linux of all time, by the way. Not one of those sub ones. I'm on the main Arch. I just updated Saturday and had the updated GIMP 3.0. So I guess there was actually a lot of stuff that came about in 3.0. Just a huge shout out. I know that us as software engineers don't do this, but I want to make sure that even if there's a tool that we don't use a whole lot that has a big release, give a shout out, because there's a lot of engineers that worked on that, that spent a lot of their time to provide something for all of us. And yeah. You can import all of those nasty Photoshop files now. And yeah. OpenSUSE Tumbleweed. I actually like Troubleweed. Yeah, I actually thought that they might have done more with the UI, and they did. Like, the buttons are definitely cleaner and easier to read. Like, these are actually better. Like, the ability to click and drag these things. The UI is better, but it wasn't as big of a... I was kind of expecting for 3.0 to be a little more different. But I'm not upset. Like, I'm not upset. And I've actually been using Photoshop for like thumbnails and stuff. And like, I actually like the changes so far that I've seen. I'm going to try the next video that should be released sooner than later. I'm going to try to do the thumbnail in GIMP. So yeah. Anyways, let's get back to the news. Right. Scott meant the best of the rest after Arch. Right. Nobody, when people talk about the best Linux distribution, to just be real with you all, everyone knows that it's Arch. So when they get to arguing, they're actually arguing about the second best, because that's really the only place that's available to be taken. Like, you know, it's like when Michael Phelps was a swimmer. Second place was really what everybody was fighting for. If you were a swimmer and won a silver medal during Michael Phelps's reign, you know, that silver was effectively a gold medal. And that's what, you know, what everybody in the OS argument is really shooting towards, is that second place. So many times they just forget to mention Arch. Yeah, first runner up. You got it. Blender is fantabulous. Do I have Blender installed on here? Yeah, I do. Blender, I am super impressed with Blender. Like, really, as far as an open source, a large open source project over many years with a little to no. So like Kubernetes, you could be like, well, Google is really pushing it and whatnot. But Blender, I mean, it does have some corporate sponsorship, but it has had very little compared to these other ones. Blender is actually pretty fantabulous. Pretty fantastic. All right. And their UI is actually really fantastic. So my kids were doing a learn to do Blender thing. And that's why I have Blender. And it's come quite a ways. Is Blender the most successful open source project after Linux? It might be. Should we do a most successful open source projects tier list? We might need to do that. I think that some are more successful in like, I would say that GIMP is actually pretty successful for how long it's gone. And then there's like Linux, which I'm going to include like the Linux core utils as well. Blender might be. I think I would say Blender it has to be up there. We got to think on this. We got to develop this list. Is Krita open source? I think it is, isn't it? I think it is. I haven't used Krita a whole lot. Krita and Blender are very different things too. Like, they're not solving the same problem. There's not apples to apples here. Let's just be fair. Let's just be fair. Let's also move on, because I have a time limit, because I have a lunch break, and we're doing the news. All right. Ubuntu, carefully, but purposefully oxidizing Ubuntu. When people say they're oxidizing something, they usually means providing oxygen, which most of the times, they're referring to specifically what happens when you oxidize metal. Because when you oxidize humans, they get drunk. When you oxidize other things happen. If you oxidize a banana peel, it will decay faster. But when they're talking about oxidizing, they're talking about making it rusty. They're talking about making it rusty. And this was a good article. I believe Russell is to thank, but go ahead and give it a check. In here, they actually point to this, the smallcultfollowing.com baby steps, talking about targeting foundational software, which I think is actually a really core part where Rust can really succeed. And I love this. And basically, you're talking about foundational software that everything else used to run, like Linux, like containers, like, all of those foundational software. Those things are used to build your piece of software. And I think that's actually a great place in Rust. And there's actually a lot of reasons why you want Rust. And this actually dives into it, which I thought was really, really fantastic, because you need performance, reliability, productivity, and security. You need all of those things. Your foundational software, if your foundational software doesn't have performance, your software doesn't have performance. If your foundational software doesn't have reliability, your software doesn't have reliability. If your foundational software doesn't have productivity, that means you don't get new features that you can leverage in your software. So like Linux, if Linux wasn't performant, if it wasn't reliable, if it wasn't productive, you wouldn't have those things. And so this is actually a really great call out. I don't think people think about the software that you use to build your software needs these things, and security is another one of them. If your foundational software that you leverage isn't secure, neither is yours. So it was a good article. I loved it. Thanks for bringing it up. It's a great win on the open source as well. Also, fantastic discourse in the chat. I love you guys. I haven't kept up with it. I'm going through the news, but you guys are awesome. Ubuntu is getting a fungal infection. You can argue that a fungus is a biological rust. I always think this when people say like something is oxidizing and they're obviously talking about rust. I always think of like all the systems and what oxidation does. Like if you're talking about a fire, it's explosive. Let's talk about rockets going up. Like that's oxidization. Is your rocket launch uses liquid oxygen most of the time. It's fantastic. But they're talking about getting a little rusty. They're talking about getting a little rusty. All right. Did we get baited switched? I was so angry. I was so angry this week because I had to dig into stuff because I felt betrayed by NVIDIA. The people that wouldn't lie to us in their marketing, the people that wouldn't have used different models in their marketing, where they said, hey, with ray tracing on, you get new freaking models. No, we wouldn't have been lied to by these people. We can trust them. We can trust them. Earlier this week, Asus shows off the Ascent GX10, an AI supercomputer with NVIDIA GB10. And I was like, whoa. A GB10? That's what's in the Project Digits, isn't it? That's what's in that one, right? And then I was reading, and it was like, the GB10 platform is a fairly powerful and far more affordable than its other. And then it was like, it's on the Grace Blackwell super chip. And I was like, oh, that sounds like the Digits project. And I was like, sweet goodness, an affordable Digit. Somebody's going to make some competition. Although we are boycotting Asus because they don't support Linux in their motherboards and they suck as a company. So other than the boycott, we're good here. So I was getting excited. And I was like, 20 core. This is the exact same thing that the Project Digits is. And I was going through, and there's like, 128 gigabytes of coherent unified system memory. I was like, it's a Digit competitor. No, it's not. Because we were lied to yet again by our AI overlords. The fact is, they rug pulled us. They said the NVIDIA Digit was going to be $3,000, $2,999. And in fact, they decided just 1 month later, you cannot tell me that you didn't have this information. You can't tell me you didn't know Asus was going to build one. You know why you can't tell me that? You know why you can't tell me? Because to put together this takes more than a month. This is a year-long thing, if not more. Asus doesn't just slap a cover on it. It takes engineering. You can't tell me. So now it's $4,000 to get the Spark, not the Digit. It already renamed too. Why did it rename? Because they upped the price. I'm so angry. Maybe Asus used AI to build it in a month. Maybe that's what they did. Then in that case, don't buy this one. Do not buy this one. It's not going to work. It is not going to work. It's not going to work. Okay? I am so angry. You know what makes me even more upset? You can buy two, and instead of a discount, it's at a premium. They tacked $50 onto the cost of buying two. They don't understand how bulk pricing works. V0 and NVIDIA have the same problem. They don't understand that when you buy bulk, you get a discount. V0 has the same problem. I've complained to them publicly multiple times. Never have gotten a response of when you go to buy more credits, it's actually more expensive than when you buy the first allotment of credits. It's asinine and wild. It's wild. I'm so upset by this. I feel lied to. I do believe you guys should log your complaints with them because we all feel lied to. The cable costs $50. It's just an Ethernet cable. I believe it's a 25 gigabyte Ethernet cable. That's probably what they're charging you. You have different complaints open with NVIDIA right now? Okay. If it was Apple, it cost... You're right. We should be happy that it's a $50 cable. That's a $5 cable. You're right. I am sorry. Shipping box is bigger. Oh my freaking goodness. So at this point, I don't know what I'm going to do. I told you guys that I was going to try to buy one. I'm trying to save $3,000. Now it's $4,000 unless if I want that crappy Asus, but I am boycotting Asus because of the motherboard problems. So that leaves me in a tight spot. I don't know that Asus is worse than Nvidia though, to be honest. So like now it feels like I'm boycotting the devil to sleep with another devil. I don't know. That was a strange analogy. Don't dive into that one. Leave that one be. No, don't clip that one. Don't clip that one. Oh gosh, dang it. You guys and your clipping. All right. I'm already in trouble with ToggleBit because of your clipping. Now, if you guys had thought that my Nvidia news was going to be Nvidia selling GPUs from a food truck, you're absolutely wrong. But if you wanted to get Nvidia GPU and swag from Nvidia, they do now have food trucks that don't sell food. It's very confusing, but it's out there. It's for you guys. And I did find this. Yeah. Yep. No food for you guys. It was at a conference, yeah. Yeah. No food at the conference, just food trucks with GPUs. Now, if you want proof that people should listen to me, here the proof is in the pudding. I have for a long time, very long time, said that the work that we've done with advanced statistical analysis machines, most commonly called AI, ML, was for a security related things, and that there was huge potential for anomaly detection with AI. Well, it looks like major corporations are starting to agree. This is not the first, probably won't be the last. Tapping misbehaving bots in an AI labyrinth, using generative AI as a defensive weapon. All right, I want you guys to go read this. I don't have the time today. Who would have thought people should listen to me? Eagle DB definitely would not have. Wait, is he on? Yeah. You lost me at people should listen to me. Don't listen to Eagle 11. Don't listen to Eagle 11. All right. So this is actually really cool. But what they're doing is using generative AI as a defensive weapon. This is not how I had envisioned the statistical anomaly, but it's actually a really good take on defending against AI. So basically, they build a labyrinth. When AI crawlers falsely link, they waste valuable computation resources processing irrelevant content rather than extracting your legitimate website database. So basically, they built AI honeypots that basically are labyrinths to waste their time. Which is like really, really cool because like they could just generate these things for them to like waste their time instead of like if you're trying to protect your stuff from AI crawlers. So how to use AI labyrinths to stop AI crawlers. Anyways, it's a product that they make, but it's actually a really cool take on the use of AI to defeat AI. And I thought it was actually pretty awesome. It was pretty neat. So anyways, go check it out. Is this different to the person that was talking about requiring proof of work via the browser to stop AI scraping? Isn't that what reCAPTCHA already does, though? I mean, isn't that one of the things that reCAPTCHA does is just, and don't hold my proof of work blockchain against me here. I know that's what you're trying to do, or proof of humanity. That's what I called it, proof of humanity. That was stupid. That's why it worked so well on YouTube. It didn't work at all on YouTube. All right. I told you guys I was watching this, and I actually saw this. I actually am a little sad about this. Google joins OpenAI in pushing feds to codify AI training as fair use. So in the US, we have fair use. Your laws are different, but this is what enables me to take like a YouTube clip. And let's say there was one YouTube clip where I took, you guys all know Sid from DevOps Directive, and I took his challenge and I incorporated small clips of his video in my video where I basically cheated on the challenge that he made. Well, that's all covered under fair use. I'm adding substantial amounts of content. Yes, I took clips of his video to be very transformative. Mine was very transformative on that. And that's what is covered under copyright as fair use. It allows you to do things like that without worrying about copyright issues. And just to be fair, I actually contacted Sid. This is actually how I got to know Sid, was because I asked to even do that, because I'm just not a horrible person. But I did make sure that that was okay with him. Anyways, AI systems are pushing for training AI on those systems as fair use. That is what they're pushing for. That is the news. So we're still watching. We'll have to see where the courts fall with this. Yeah. And then the last thing in AI news is that the courts find AI search engine. The courts didn't find. This was a research here, and I'll link you to the actual research here. That AI search is bad at times. The best one was Perplexity, but it was wrong about a quarter of the time. And then some of them were Grok and Gemini was wrong at search like 90% of the time. Gemini was the worst, I believe, and Grok was like the second worst. It was pretty bad. It's an interesting thing that they did, and it's a fairly good study in my opinion. They went through and how they did all this stuff is pretty well documented. I'm not saying it's a perfect study, but one of the things that they were looking for was, hey, will it say I don't have an answer if it doesn't have an answer, if it can try to tell that, and see. So anyways, if you're interested, Gemini V2 is way better. I don't have statistical proof on this. Gemini V2 felt better for a little bit, and now it's felt way worse. Like, it felt like it jumped off a cliff. And I don't know if it got worse or it just felt better, but it wasn't actually better. I'm not sure. And that's the weird thing, is these models, we have seen information on this, like the ChatGPT and whatnot, where models initially feel way better and then it feels like they degrade somehow. And I feel like this is actually just us understanding the model. Like, the more you use it, like when you first use a new model, it's way better than the old model. And you kind of, this is my feeling, you kind of get this like, when you first use the model, you're like, oh, wow, it's amazing. And then the more you use it, the more you find where it doesn't quite work. And, you kind of level out on where it actually is. Like, this is maybe actuality. Like, it's actually here. But because the old model was down here, like, when you first use it, it's like, wow. Even though it's only this, I mean, this is still a big improvement. But your perception, if we're measuring perception from actuality, and let's, your perception is skewed. That's my feeling on it right now. And I'm not sharing, am I? Because I'm an idiot. But my perceptions are wrong. So this is like the old model here. And like, this is your perception, like how good the old model actually was. And this is like your perception. And this is actually where, this dotted line is actually where the new model is. And so my feeling is that your perception is really high because it is so much better. This is like not a small amount, but it's still, anyways, that's the only way I can explain what we're seeing with what it feels like degradation, because I see this with every model. Every single time ChatGPT released a big one, everybody's like, mind blown, AGI is real, this is it, this is going to take your jobs. And then like a month later, people are like, man, this is hallucinating on me all the time, and it just borked my project, and I'm so frustrated, and I just want it to do a simple thing, and I just wanted to tell me how many R's are in a strawberry, and it can't do it. And that's my feeling. Or it just learned from humans. One or the other. You know, who knows which one it is? Who knows? It's incrementally learning from humans and just getting stupider as it goes. All right, let's talk about some cloud news. Amazon EKS now in... this is actually something that I missed. This was from March 5th. And I missed this, and I'm super sorry that I did. I call it out when I miss stuff. I'm sorry. I try to keep us up to date on the latest stuff, and I missed this. Anyways, Envelope encrypts all Kubernetes API data now by default. This is a huge security performance improvement. This is really, really good. This is how it should have been for the last 5 years, and I'm glad now that they do this. Previously, Amazon EKS provided optional envelope encryption with Kubernetes KMS v1. This is now the default configuration for all Kubernetes. You should have security by default. Everything should be built that way. That's another thing that the Rust community does really well. The Rust community, whether Rust is more secure or not, the community itself is actually really good about doing things in a secure way. The right way. I've made talks on this where all software can be made secure by default when you're doing it, and you have to think about how the user is going to interact and leverage your thing. Every product should have security as a default option. Like the most secure way should be the default option. That's what it should be. Not that I remember this because it was the greatest day of my life, but it was wasn't it Tay? It was Ty or Tay, the bot. That was fantastic. I love that. That was fantastic. It was hilarious. It got so bad so quickly. One of the problems was actually misbehaving. People actually spammed it. They wrote things to just spam it content. So you'd get a billion racist things in like a minute. So it was actually more of a problem that there was only actually a few bad actors, but they were bad actors that were software engineers. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Amazon Q developer announces a new CLI agent with, I believe that I got really hung up on this, and that's why I covered this, the Bedrock data automation now being generally available. I can't believe I also missed this to make fun of Amazon Q. Every time we've used Amazon Q, it's been a bad experience every single time. So every single time they add Q to something, I'm like, the experience of that thing got worse. Every time. Q has been rough. Q has been rough. Anyways, let's move on. Let's move on to my dislike of Q. Okay, so the one thing that I was going to point out about Google was basically this door report. If you haven't read the door report, I'm going to cover it tomorrow. So tomorrow, if you guys don't know, tomorrow we're doing a how to train your own AI on your local PC. We'll see how well we do. We'll do it a couple weekends. We'll see how well we can train a model on we're going to take the easy route, and then we're going to take a less easy route the next weekend. So tomorrow we're going to take quite possibly the easiest path we can, and then we're going to go on. I'm also going to cover a few things like why you would want to train a model versus use something like a RAG. So there's a couple things that we're doing tomorrow. Now, this DORA report, I want to go over tomorrow as well because it has to do with AI. There's actually something that I didn't expect in the DORA report. There's actually information I would have told you was wrong. I would have said it was the opposite way. And I'm super glad that the DORA report came out. And we need to cover it because we got to talk about what my expectations would have been. So, we're going to cover the DORA report. We're going to cover why you would want to train versus RAG. And then we're going to train something locally. That's going to be great. It's going to be great. So join me tomorrow. We'll see how far we get. It will be fun. Last thing for today. Last thing. And I saved the best for last. Best for last. Have you guys been thinking? What we really need is a new format. What we really want something based off of XML. Well, I know we have YAML, which is based off of JSON, right? But we'd like to have something based off of XML. We want little XML, little baby XML. Well, if you've been wanting a new XML format, today is your lucky day. Amazon, and by Amazon, I actually mean Microsoft, because they're so close in names. So close. I'm so good at English. It surprises most people. Microsoft previews a new XML format for Visual Studio Solution files. You can now get SLNX files. That's going to make it better. Now, I only know solution files from... Actually, this isn't even true. I used Visual Studio not that long ago for some of my Unreal stuff, like 2 or 3 years ago. Solution files were a super pain. If you guys don't remember, they have like GUIDs and crap in them. They're basically unusable pieces of information that you need a supercomputer and an AI to even think about touching. They're fixing it with the SLNX file. It's going to be fixed. Human touchable. They said they'll even be able to preserve comments in the solution file. I actually got excited about this, and I don't even program stuff in Windows or Visual Studio. So there you go. It's not really a new format, just a new file for projects. Because nobody, why they're using, I don't know. They go on to defend why they use XML instead of picking something better like JSON. I don't know why they would use XML as the base. It sounds like they're trying to be JetBrains. Are you sure that JetBrains wasn't trying to be like Microsoft? Who did it first? Do you think we can influence the internet to refer to it as Slinky? I'm already working on a shirt now to refer to it as the Slinky format. Thank you. So I'll have a video for the internet with it's so hard for me to say SLNX and a Slinky. I like it. I like it. The Slinky format. I'll have to look over the block AI scrapers with Anubis. That would be cool. I thanks for posting it, Russell. I'll give it a check. I don't know off the top of my head. I haven't actually read this. This is cool. I'll put it in the news for next week and have read up on it a little bit. All right, folks, that is it for me today. I hope that you enjoyed the news. I hope that Eagle 11 being here didn't hurt you all too much. AI t-shirt creator will be I need to actually make the t-shirts. I need to actually make the t-shirts. I went through this kick where I was like actually evaluating local people to do t-shirts. I'm not going to do that at this point. It's too much work and requires too much capital up front, because if it's not on demand, I have to like actually print 1,000 t-shirts. Lifetime supply for myself. So I'm going to just do it the less awesome way, but it will get it done, and then we can do it the more awesome way later. And actually, like some of these companies have ways to get like locally sourced t-shirts, like a little bit more I say a little bit more ethically sourced t-shirts. So they'll be the more expensive ones, unfortunately. But that's what I'm going to do anyways, to do a little bit more so I can try to avoid the sweatshops. Attempt. Anyways, thanks everybody for joining. I hope this news found you well. I hope to see you tomorrow, where we actually try to train some stuff, do some stuff with some AI, get our butts kicked by